I recently got the Mandalorian Starfighter. Or it's called the Gauntlet Starfighter. I did not know. I just know that this is a Mandalorian style starfighter. It is Bo-Katan's, which is why I think it has a special name. Didn't know its name, but that's cool. But I've been looking at this ship and I've been playing with it. I love this ship. I think it's a great design, but at first it didn't shout to me as a Star Wars style ship. But I think it looks great, but it doesn't scream Star Wars to me. And here it is. I have it in hand. Look at that beautiful piece of plastic. But you look at this thing, and look, I'm not some insane, I mean, I really like Star Wars, but I don't know like everything about it. I'm not, I don't even know the name of the ship, but I'm really interested in like the design aspect of Star Wars, because I love the political aspects and the kind of weird storytellings that they did in the prequels. The classic trilogy was just fun hero's journey, but the aesthetics of Star Wars is just so beautiful because of the story it's trying to tell. I've been watching Adam Savage on his Tested channel. He's the guy who used to do Mythbusters, and he has his own YouTube channel where he just makes shit and talks about stuff he's making and talks about like jobs he had in the past. And he used to work at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, which is a place that does a shit ton of movie shit, movie like special effects. And he worked on the first and second episodes of Star Wars. And you should watch those videos. They're really fun, especially the ones where they're like, he's talking with like an old coworker of his, and they're just like reminiscing about all these, all the things they would talk about over lunch which would be like the design philosophy of Star Wars. And I was listening to one of those, and it was so interesting to hear, and it really struck in the nail, like right on the nail of the head of the nail, of why I like Star Wars. And they were talking about the design of like why they love Star Wars so much, and it's that in like a metaphorical sense, he said it like this: Star Wars's aesthetics are so that if there were 4 pipes on a wall, one of them would be missing, and there would be some jerry-rigged way that it would like, oh, we'll get around to fixing that, but we have other priorities first. And I was just like, I heard that, and I was like, that is such a huge part of why I love Star Wars. Star Wars is a world where something is always missing. Like, it feels like there's a world and something is needed, something is missing, and you can just feel it within the stories they tell, within the aesthetics, and it's so strong and it's everywhere and it's so visually cohesive. And a huge part of the ideology was just that like there would be long stretches of design philosophy. There would be like kind of clear, plain, flat parts, and then a condensement of like just detail is how they would design things. And then that would, that's also part of why it's so visually striking, because they know how to use wide, clear spaces, and they also, they know when to put in that detail. So that's why when I look at this ship, this Mandalorian fighter, it doesn't strike me as a Star Wars style ship right off the bat, because it just feels like there's just too much wide space. Like, this feels like if you would just show somebody this ship, I don't know if they would immediately clock it as a Star Wars ship. While there are some ships out there that are very like, that like are along the lines of like the Millennium Falcon or something, where, the Millennium Falcon is super easy to recognize as a Star Wars ship. Yes, because it's super famous, but also in its design of it just knows, it has so much complexity and detail around it, and it knows when to use it. It's a beautiful looking ship. And this just feels like it's a little too clean. So when I looked at the ship, I was just like, I really love the design because there's so many striking things about it, but I don't know if it's really Star Wars. Also, it's like too clean. It's too clean. And it's not because it's just a toy that it's too clean. In fact, like in the Mission Fleet series, there has been, they made the Anakin and Obi-Wan starfighters from episode 3. And they made them, and they, purposely on the coloration of the ships, they would like put scorch marks, and they would put decals on the ships that had scratch marks and things that clearly hit it. So the decision to make this purely clean and to show it off, well, it's like in the world of Star Wars, this ship has almost been only seen as like a very sleek, clean ship. So this was like, they didn't want to make a toy that was like banged up and clearly been through stuff. They wanted to make it clean. This was a conscious decision. And so that also threw me off of like, it feels a little too clean, a little too sleek to be directly from Star Wars. But I'm looking at this more, and it cuts the conventions of what I've said about what I think are the design principles of Star Wars. I think in really interesting ways that bring variety and like it brings variety and a different cultural feel to the design in a way that's actually still like, it smartly avoids its own rules to tell a story. And I think that's what's super fucking cool about this ship, because this ship was built by Mandalorians, or I'm pretty sure it's built by Mandalorians. It's a Mandalorian fan. If I'm wrong, then this kind of falls sideways, but whatever. First of all, you look, like it took me a second, but the design of this hull part, I was looking at it for a little bit, and I was just like, this looks like the helmets that the Mandalorians wear. And then I was like, yes, it does. That's the clear reason why they made it look like this. This is like a fucking nod to the culture, because in Mandalore, it's a huge, important, like there are warriors in the past, in the history of their culture, there were warriors that wore masks like this. And there's Bo-Katan, who is a Mandalorian, and you can see the type of helmet she has on and the design of that helmet, and how that just beautifully translates into this like very sci-fi angular design that keeps the Roman centurion helmet design. It's just like, oh, that's super cool. And also, just by telling you about those historical warriors that like have so much cachet in their culture, they're very traditionalists. Their culture, as known so far, I would refer to them as a very traditionalist culture. Now I'm about to blow your mind, because this ship, you know, it looks pretty cool like this. It's very neat design, but there are two amazing features. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. The wings rotate. The wings rotate. And you're like, why would the wings rotate? First, this is just a cool thing. It's just like the engines are on the back of the wings, which is just like such a fun, different design for a ship. I guess it like, I think that part's just fun. That part's just fun. But design-wise, I think it leads to something very important, because in order, so this ship maneuvers by not only rotating these fin parts. Okay, are you ready for part 2? It wrote the fins rotate around the ship, around. That's a fucking pog moment, bro. That's just so sick. That's just like, the fact that it rotates around the hull, it's just like, there's just so much dynamic maneuvering, and like, what a fun design for a ship. But here's the thing, not only is it such a super fun design where the fins can rotate and it rotates around the ship and it looks beautiful and dynamic, and the fucking hull looks like is a fucking, like the helmets that they wear. In order for this ship to land, because the thrusters are on the bottom of the wings, in order to like come down, the wings have to be up like this, which is already such a striking silhouette. And then there's a little landing gear that pops out of the bottom. And so it would just, it lands like that. Beautiful. Look at how beautiful that silhouette is. Such a beautiful silhouette. I feel like this silhouette feels, I don't know,